All right, everyone, welcome. This is the Camera Club of Richmond, and this is our March 9th, 2022 monthly meeting. So I'd like to welcome all of our members, our former members. We've seen a few guests that have come in on the call. My name is Karen Davis, and I'm the Communications Director for the Camera Club of Richmond. We're glad that you've joined us for our, drum roll please, and all of our fingers crossed, this is our last Zoom-only monthly meeting. Yeah, you heard that correctly. A select subcommittee of our board is working diligently to bring you a safely social distanced in-person meeting on April the 13th. So as well as continuing to conduct our Zoom calls and our Zoom meetings, we will be able to go back live at our former location, Chamberlain Heights United Methodist Church, which is at 6100 Chamberlain Avenue, just a little bit north of Richmond, right off of Interstate 95. So that is the plan. We'll open the doors as we've done in the past, around between 6:15, 6:30, and kick off our Zoom call at 6:30, and then the official program will start at 7. And because it's so exciting, we've got a really exciting program plan for that April meeting. We're thrilled to have our president of the Virginia Professional Photographers Association, Fred Morton. Fred, if you're out there, wave your hand. Fred is going to be with us in person, presenting a little bit of information and sharing his knowledge about street photography and photojournalism. So that's the planned topic for that presentation. And then in addition to that, Fred will come back in May to be our evaluator. And we have an assigned subject of, guess what? Photojournalism and street photography. So we've tried to tie that whole concept together and been wonderfully thankful to Fred for volunteering to do that for us. So we're looking forward to that. There'll be a lot more information in your newsletter. So keep your eyes open for whatever protocols we may have to put into place, et cetera, to make sure that that's a safe in-person gathering. It has been a really long 2 years, and we can only see your smiling faces in these little boxes on the screen. So we're really excited to get back to a little bit of normalcy, and we hope that everybody else is as well. But keep in mind that we will be Zooming as well. So if you're more comfortable doing that, or if you're having to drive in from points far away, we'll be presenting the same programs to you virtually. So for tonight, we have an image evaluation with one of our favorite evaluators, David Everette, who's already here on the call. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. We have 85 images tonight. As far as our board members can remember, that's the most we have ever had. So we will be moving quickly, and wanted to ask you to put any questions you may have into the chat. And our education director, Marianne Barnhart, is going to be monitoring those questions and keeping those to the end. That way we can allow David free rein to go through those images and give us his insights. And then if folks want to leave at the end of the evaluation, they can, and others can stick around if they have questions that they want to have answered. So just your help on that would be great. Just a quick word on what is an image evaluation. I know we've got a lot of new folks with us, but 6 times a year, we allow all of our members to enter 2 photos for evaluation critique by a professional photographer, or sometimes it's an artist, to give us their feedback on those images. And we have, throughout the year, the board likes to challenge us with 3 special assigned subjects. And I mentioned that street photography and photojournalism that's coming up in May. The second one will be Abandoned, which will be either June or July, with Jesse Boyland from Artworks. And then About Time is the third one. That'll really challenge your creativity a little bit. In September, with another one of our favorite evaluators, professional photographer Anthony Rumley. So that's what's coming up in September. Think of these as preliminary rounds for our end of year competition, which we will also be doing. You'll get some more information on that final end of year judging as we get further into the year. And in addition to those 6 image evaluations, we do presentations. As I mentioned, next month will be Fred with our street photography and photojournalism. But we are looking for topics for some of those meetings, and we just found out that the Photographic Society of America, the PSA, in which CCR is actually a charter member, they have created a presenters bureau and are offering virtual speakers to all of the member clubs on just tons of different topics. So the board decided that we would get some feedback from you guys, our members, and see if you would like to tell us which of those topics might be of interest to you. So I have a little poll that we are going to launch here. And there were so many topics, we had to break them down into separate questions. So somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see the Presenters Bureau poll. All right, should be up on your screen. And if you'll go through the questions and then just click, I'm putting glasses on so I can see a little bit better. Click the ones that seem to be of interest to you, and you can vote for as many as you would like.
Right. The grouping in question number 1, exploring France and Italy, case for black and white photography, and pick as many as you want from question number 2. It's just simply more topics. You can only put 10 in a number. And then all the way down through, there should be 4 separate questions. So I'm waiting to see if we're getting any feedback on any of those. And that will help us decide. We'll go back to PSA once we have some idea of what you guys are all interested in and find out who the presenters are. And then, of course, those will be virtual presenters that will give us that information. Right, if we're on the board, are we allowed to click these? Because I'm not able to click. The only reason you cannot is because you're a co-host. But the rest, everybody else is fine. You'll just have to tell me which ones you like. No, it's no worry. Yeah, we as host and co-host can't vote. Oh, it looks like in the lead. Maybe I shouldn't give it away. No, that one's coming in hot still. Yeah, travel photography, night photography's got some votes. Flower photography has some votes. Street photography has some votes. Bad weather. Yeah, bad weather photography. That's interesting. All right. Yeah, we appreciate hearing.
Looks like you have to select at least one out of every category, though.
Do you? Oh, okay. Oh, good. That's good. All right. Well, that's good to know. I wasn't sure exactly how the poll would work. We're still investigating all these Zoomisms here. It's easier to unselect than select, to be honest. Oh, okay. That's another good thing to know. So you can check it, and then if you change your mind, you can uncheck it. All right. Yeah, it's Did you say only one out of each category? No, as many as you like. Yes. Oh, it's hard not to check everything. I know. Some of these will present in meetups. Some of these will present live. Some will present in our meetings themselves. Some will be short.
Right before a meeting, activity. So anything that you're interested in. If you're interested in anything other than what's on this list, just email.
Yeah, exactly.
Me or Karen.
Pop it into the chat. We'd love your feedback on what you want to hear. So many times we're constrained by what speaker we can get and what they'd like to talk about. But with the PSA folks at our beck and call, it sounds like we will have a lot more flexibility of getting some. And there are some. Carol Hageman, our PSA representative, will be able to tell you there's some fabulous photographers in PSA and some great presenters. So this is a huge, huge.
They really are.
Yeah.
And their quality programs that they present. That's one of the highlights of being a member. Hint, hint.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. This is for membership, because PSA, we belong to PSA as a club.
Right.
So having these experts give us these webinars and workshops and is phenomenal. That's why we're going to go ahead and take your information and start booking now and next year as soon as we can.
All right. Okay. Well, we got most everybody in, so I'm going to end the poll. If for some reason it didn't work for you, or you weren't able to do it, or couldn't think fast enough to do it, just let us know, especially if you've got some other things. So
right. We're just missing 4 people, and that's not including,
that's great.
Including us.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep the results a secret for a little bit, and I won't share the poll. I think I'll end the poll. Let's see. And maybe I do have to share results. Okay, we'll share results. All right, you get a sneak peek. Like I said, travel photography was one of the biggies. Photography in bad weather, I thought that was an interesting one. And travel photography my way. Okay. All right, so we will compile all of that. And
got a lot of people looking into summer and spring.
Yeah, exactly.
Going away.
All right. Well, thank you for that feedback. We appreciate that. And again, Zoom kind of gives us these tools that we're able to try and keep us all connected here. All righty. So with that, I will turn our meeting over to our illustrious president, Harold Lana. And Harold probably has some announcements for us. And then we'll introduce David so we can get this show on the road. Harold, take it away.
Well, I think you covered most of the announcements I had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a whole list
Stole
here.
your thunder. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, one thing I did want to mention before David started, there was, I think, 3 people in the last evaluation that had their pictures accidentally left out of the presentation. So they're going to be allowed to submit those tonight along with their 2 for tonight. So some people will have 4 pictures tonight, but that's only because they missed out last time of no fault of their own. Before we move on to David, does anybody else have anything? Joe, do you have anything on activities going on?
No, everything I have is already posted on the meetup page, so.
Okay, great. All right then, since we have 85 images tonight, I'm going to go ahead and introduce David. David's been around a long time. He's kind of a fixture here in the Richmond area. If you get out to the river a lot, I'm sure you've probably seen him on occasion. He's a native of Virginia, a graduate of ECU. I think it said on your bio that you were in some kind of police something. I forgot what it was, but it wasn't anything to do with photography, and now you're full-time photography. So with that, I'll let David continue, maybe go over his bio a little bit for people that don't know him, and then we'll go ahead and start this evaluation. David, it's all yours. David, you're on mute. Just click the little mute button in the lower left-hand corner.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
There you go. I'm going to
All
mute
right,
myself
now you
now.
hear me. Okay, just a quick 2 minutes rundown of my basic history. High school, my journalism teacher handed me a camera and said, "You're now our photographer." And I said, "No, I'm not." She said, "Yes, you are," and sent me out to photograph people, which at that time was the one thing I hated the most, was dealing with other people. I was too much introverted at that time, but I give credit to photography to correcting that situation. Anyway, I wound up learning that I did enjoy photographing people eventually. Took a while, but then I discovered that I really liked being down at the James River. Are any of you familiar with what I call the rock garden? Anybody know what that is? If you go down to Jefferson Davis Highway at the end, south end of it, down below is a big rock field on the James River that you can walk out on, and a lot of boulders and stuff like that, and a lot of different features. It's something that I started out shooting down there for probably close to the first year of my photographic career, and learning about composition and how to find subject matter. It was also there that I got introduced to what became one of my favorite subjects of all, which is the great blue heron. I had an experience where, being down there before dawn one morning, I heard something and couldn't figure out what it was. I hid behind a rock, and when I peeked around, I saw this strange looking bird standing there near a little water hole. And it took me a while to figure out what it was, 2 or 3 encounters before I could actually photograph it. And it's became one of my favorite subjects for the next 50 years. But that was the beginning of my career. And ever since then, it's been, the James River has been a major part of what I do. I'm not going to spend any more time on me. I'd rather spend it on you guys. So how do we go about starting this? Harold, can you hear me?
All right. Actually, I think Karen is taking back over again because our brand new digital director is off traveling. So he asked me if I would do the honors of displaying our images for this evening. So I'll bring those up. Hopefully you can see a gorgeous picture here called 1920s Movie Palace. And then I'll announce the artist at the end of David's little evaluation for each one. All right, so David, go ahead.
Okay, I like this shot in that it's presented a little different than usual when it's been done before. And that is that it's done in panorama format. All that seating in the foreground is not really necessary for the image. And I like the way the artist has presented this beautifully framed edge to edge, and the fact that they turned it into a panorama rather than a long rectangle that shows an awful lot of seating going on down. You don't need that to get the effect. Beautifully done.
All right, and that is Bill Whitworth. This is A Gaze as Old as Time.
All right, now this is the first image that I had a slight issue with. And this is because of an awful large area that is so bright that my eye has a hard time moving away from it. When I cropped it, and I've got some examples that I've done, but I don't know how to really put it up here. So basically what I did was I cropped it something going straight down through here. Can you see this, the way I'm moving the cursor across, or is that not visible to you?
I'm not seeing the cursor.
Okay.
I see the black cursor on the right.
Yeah, I see that,
Outside
but
the
I
picture.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
me. I'll move that.
Okay.
You can also annotate if you want.
All right, if you come down to this first step below the figure, and right there at that corner, crop it there. Can you see what I'm talking about? The first step down below the figurine. Right there, there's a corner.
You see if I can
Go
do it.
just beyond that and crop it. You don't need all of that white area in the front. Something to that effect is about what I'm suggesting. That part to the right just becomes superfluous, and it also becomes so strong that my eye just wants to stay there and not really look at the subject that I want the viewer to look at, which is on the left. So something like this takes the weight away from it and puts it back on the subject on the left-hand side. Next.
All right, that was Sarah Von and Rajamonikam. This is Abandoned, Not Forgotten.
I like the leading line going into this, and then the strong subject up here. I know this area well because I've photographed it a lot. It works best in morning light to photograph this spot. And you have to be there fairly early to catch this really good light that comes across this. But compositionally, I think it's pretty strong. I just think it looks like midday light and would be a lot stronger with either morning or evening light. Evening light, you'd have to photograph it from the opposite side though. This would be a morning shot from this angle.
All right, and that is Dave Johnson. Autumn Flight.
This is an awesome shot. I love the composition and design of it. The curve from the left-hand side brings you on around, and then you have to go up to this balloon because it's just strong enough to draw the eye. Being small like it is, plus very colorful, it demands attention and the eye tends to go to it. Overall, this is a very nice, peaceful shot that's got good design to it.
Susan Van Manen, Autumn Rising.
I like what the photographer tried to do with this one, but I'm not sure that it's successful. This wide space here in the foreground, had they have cropped it down below these rocks, left just a little bit of space like in here. Can y'all see this cursor I'm using? Can y'all see my cursor?
No.
How
Yes.
can I? Anyway, just below the rocks on the right-hand side, in the lower right-hand side, crop it under that. Then it becomes a little bit stronger. You have a three-part element to draw the eye around that way. Right here, what happens is the eye tends to stay in the weighted area down below and get drawn up. And I don't like the positioning of these two elements here when they're with all that bottom down there. They were trying to use a threesome here to make a good composition, and they're almost successful, but not quite.
All righty, back to, I got too many things going on here. And that is Laura Davenport. Now we're to Beagle Island Lighthouse.
I'm not seeing it yet.
Still the same picture.
Okay. Is it there now?
Aaron, could you give David an ability to annotate?
He should have that
Where do I find that?
up at the very top.
Okay. Edit and create.
I believe
That
so.
it?
There should be a little pen that says annotate.
It would be in view options on the Zoom window. So it would say you're viewing Karen Davis's room and you'd be able to pull and annotate out. I cannot do it as a host, so I'm not sure he can do it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I do not see, I see standard by sides, side by side gallery. And
Yeah.
on the screen that she's putting up on my screen, I've got 3 little buttons, but I can't get anything from it. So I don't think I've got an annotate on here.
Okay.
No, sorry about that.
All right. Well,
That's
I
all
can,
right.
if you tell me, I can try and illustrate what you're doing.
Well, you got your black arrow on the edit and create little arrow there.
There we
Is
go.
there anything below that to give me annotate?
Not
'Cause I know
that
we
I,
did that one time before when we did that.
yeah.
Well, while
Hold
you're
on.
looking for that.
You
this
talk
is a
about that one, and I'll
gorgeous-
see if I can find it.
When the announcer said lighthouse, I said, oh, another lighthouse. But when it came up, when I was going through them to evaluate by myself, I saw this and I thought they have found a nice, unique presentation of a lighthouse. I love this compositionally. I'd like to have a little bit more on the left-hand side. That nice curve right here isn't quite finished. I would bring it into this point over here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little, anyway, it's a gorgeous shot. I just feel like it could be a little bit stronger. The light is gorgeous. Positioning of the lighthouse in the framing is good. I love this mounting off to the right-hand side. That line leads me on over to the right edge of the frame, and then I come back in from underneath because of the strength of the bottom of it, the dark versus the light. That contrast between those two elements, I like that a lot. I love this shot overall. Nicely done.
And that is Carol Hageman. Beaver Dam Feed Store.
This to me is a nice snapshot. I wish they had given a little more space, a little room to breathe on this. I'd like to see more around this building because it just speaks to me of being just a record shot and not really an attempt at making something more than that. The old barn is gorgeous, and I'd like to go photograph it myself with a little wider view to give a sense of space around it and a sense of place. That's a good word that I forget to use often when looking at shots like this. You need to show a sense of place as well sometimes.
Okay, and that is Bill Whitworth. Between the Lines.
This is almost a perfect shot. I love the bird and its positioning, the use of lines to left and then on the right. The weakness to me is this out of focus area of the tail, where this line on the right-hand side, the inside one, crosses it evidently, or I'm not sure just what's happening here. It's not quite behind whatever that is back there, but it's showing softness in that tail. And I'd like to see that tail sharp as well. But, overall, this is a great shot. It's just that one weakness to me, and I don't think that's enough to kill the shot. It's beautifully done. Light is gorgeous. Process is great.
And that is Cindy Walker. Blue Ridge Autumn Majesty.
Okay, compositionally, I like the use of the elements on the left and right to help frame it. This looks, I won't say midday, it's not midday light, but it's not sunrise and it's not sunset. It's a little on the flat side, but yet it's got pretty color, good depth, good feel to it. I'd crop a little bit off this bottom. It's weighted too much and has a tendency to draw my eye down too much. You don't need all of it. So crop it down there and make it a little bit stronger, maybe even crop it a little bit off the right-hand side and maybe a little bit off the left as well to keep it in a rectangular frame. It doesn't need all of this space, bottom, left, and right.
That is Laura Davenport. Branches and a building.
Perfect shot. That's about all I have to say about this. Beautifully processed and presented too. Love the composition and design of it. Beautifully done.
And that is Linda Fern Schmiel. Bridge with a twist.
Okay. You put your subject down here in the bottom third, which I really like the shape and design of that part of it. But then you have all of these trees that don't really add anything to it. The colors are nice and complementary. And then you've got this blue sky that my eye wants to go to and draw my attention away from what I really want to look at, which is down here. So why are you leaving that up there? Take it out. Then the continuity of color and shapes and design and movement in this image would keep you in the image altogether.
Oops. That didn't work very well.
Now just go a straight line just below the sky.
Just below the sky.
Yeah, just below the sky. Just go a straight line across there. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Then the eye has to stay down, gets drawn down lower into where you want your viewer to go.
That is Terry Troxel. Bright lily.
Beautiful, gorgeous, great background color, very complimentary. I love the lighting being in the upper left-hand corner, coming down towards the right, darker lower left, right-hand corner. It draws the eye in at the left, upper left, and then across to the flower. I go around and I can't leave this image. It's beautifully done.
Susan Kennedy. Buddha Castle.
Really nice capture of a subject from a boat, I'm sure. I've seen it done before, and this is done very well. Compositionally, there's not much else you could do with it. The shape of the subject defines the composition, so you did well.
And that is Terry Troxel. Cardinal in thicket.
Okay, dead center. It doesn't appear to be super sharp, but sharp enough, I think. All of these lines, the tree and all, you've got a good subject and a bad placement, which you can't help, but I would have thrown him a little bit farther down in the frame, just so it adds a little more interest. You might have gotten a little bit of open space at the top that way. This is just so busy around the bird. If it weren't for the color of the bird, this would be a lost shot, but the color of the bird kind of saves it.
And that is Pat Davis.
And by that, I meant it was contrasting. Sorry to add that in. Okay. Here,
Chaos. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Chaos in color.
I don't see chaos. I see not uniformity, but I see a nice subtle color, similar colors around the edge that draw me around in a nice circular way, and then the strong same color red orange colors in the center. So I've got a good placement of subject and good design around the outer edge of it. Maybe a hint less in the bottom of this, The dark area down there doesn't need to be there. The sky is okay and pretty well processed. Not a bad design.
That is Jeff Stevens. Circles of light.
I love the way it draws the eye in the right-hand side instead of the left, and are forced to go left by the shapes and the lighting. And nice design, nicely composed and beautifully processed.
Anita Storino. Clefs on the cliff.
Nice shot of a rock with the city in the background. That's all I'm going to say.
And that's Shashi Air. Danger overhead.
Beautiful capture, complementary, all in the same shades of browns. It's beautifully done in that way. You caught the bird at beautiful moment, wings down, eyes concentrating on subject down below, probably prey. I'm not sure of the bird. I think it's in the falcon family, but I'm not sure. And placed perfectly in the frame. So you had to keep your eye right there on it, and surroundings is gorgeous, beautifully done.
That's Cindy Walker. Digging for dinner.
Okay. Sometimes a subject that's small works very well, but when the subject is doing something and you really want to know what they're doing, when they're this small, you can't really tell. I tend to lose interest in a shot like this. I want them a little bit bigger in the frame. It doesn't have to be where they're the major part of the frame, but they have to be a little better defined to me as to what they're doing and why they're there. They're too small in this image.
And that is Ken Stevens. Downtown.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the subject is on this one.
Yeah. Downtown Reflections.
Okay. I don't know where it is, but I'm not sure what the subject matter is. I've got a strong element on the right-hand side that's reflecting beautifully this building, and then the flag flying, and then the buildings beyond. I just can't decide what the subject matter on this one is. And I don't think the photographer knew either.
It's a reflective sculpture in front of the SunTrust building.
I don't care what it is. I don't think you define what you were trying to show.
All right. And that was Jay Denny. Drawbridge over canal.
Now, I think this is a better presentation of this subject here. I think it's weighted a little bit too much in the foreground. A little tighter cropping would help it, but overall, I like the black and white and the fact that it's processed pretty well. And I like this one better than the vertical version.
It was Kemp Davis. Eyes of Love.
Hard to not do a good dog shot like this. This is nicely done. I might have cropped it a little bit farther in on the left-hand side, but the eyes say it. You got him a little bit too centered to me. Love the shot.
And that is Saravanan Rajamanikam. Fading Valentine.
Nice kind of moody shot. I don't have enough of a highlight though. I'd like to see a little bit more of a highlight, just a hint brighter than what this is. I like the kind of, you seem to be going for mood, and this is it, but it's almost too flat. I'd like to see just a little bit more pop to it.
And that is Susan Kennedy. Falcon Great Sands Dunes.
This one, I like the overall look of the image, but I have to wonder whether the bird is put in or not. I don't know whether it was a composite shot or if this was actually captured like that or not. I'm not sure what to think about this image. I like the overall look of it and feel of it. And the photographers accomplished a nice composite, if that's what it is, or if they were lucky enough to get this shot like this out there in that desert, hurrah for them, because that's a gorgeous shot overall then.
And that's Ed Hageman. Finding the blue notes.
This says blues, get blues bass and guitar, whatever, just by the lighting alone, and it's nicely moody capture of it. Well done. And the fingers stroking the plucking the strings. I love it. It's nice. Got a good feel to it.
Carolyn Pitts. Flower Meadow.
Okay, again, we've got a nice broad landscape shot, and we've got people in it that we can barely make out, which sometimes is okay. And this one is right on that edge of being okay. I think I would have cropped in a little bit more to make them slightly bigger, but I love this line that goes across, not the center, but the bottom third. They're using the rule of thirds well with their cropping, making this a panorama like they did. I'm torn between wanting to see a little bit more of the people, them a little bit stronger in it, but then all those flowers, it's hard to say that's wrong either.
Ling Whitworth. Forlorn.
Beautiful. I love it. I almost feel like it's down just a little bit too much, but I'm not sure that's true either. It's got a nice mood to it, a nice feel to it. I wouldn't mind seeing a highlight in the eye, or just even suggested highlight in the eye, just to give it a little bit of, I won't say depth, but maybe it is depth that it needs. That's about the only thing that I could think about.
And that's Anita Storino. From Bud to Bloom.
Nice portrait. I love this. The angle coming down like this from upper right to lower left, and kind of goes backwards from what we're used to seeing. If you flip this, would be the expected, but this being going to the left like this, I think adds strength to it. And these element of 3 up here, odd numbers tend to be stronger when you use elements like these 3 orange flowers. Had it been 4, it would not, to me, have been as strong. So using 3 like this adds to the design, and then a 4th one that isn't flowered yet. I really like that as an addition to it. Nicely done.
And that is, excuse me, Ann Fulcher.
I think I could have guessed that.
Glory.
Okay, on the other hand, this one here, it's got strong, almost over vibrant color to it. And maybe that's the statement they're making. I don't know. I tend to think of flowers as being a softer, not quite as vibrant and in your face color as this is, but the design, overall design of it being from left to right and using not quite the middle starting point, not quite 1/3, just above 1/3, and on up here to 1/3 at the top. It's a nice design to it overall, and selection of the flowers was good. Placement of them, beautiful. It's just, I guess maybe the pizzazz of the color, a little oversaturated, almost feels oversaturated, but maybe that's the strength of it, being saturated like that.
All right, and that is John Schickler. Great Blue Heron at York River.
Nice capture. Beautiful background, nice soft look to it, nice feel to it. I think I would have cropped it a little. Well, I love these, the straw, whatever it is, from the nest hanging down and just barely not touching the bottom like it does. That works for me very well. It's almost centered, but not quite. And overall, the composition works pretty well, and the lighting is gorgeous on it. I think it's a really nice capture.
Is Pat Davis. Heading out.
You've got two planes with the propellers turning, and then you've got two without them turning. I want to know how these two up here are staying in the air. This appears to be a composite, which I think is kind of obvious. I might be wrong about that. Placement of the elements within the frame I like a lot, but these two planes needed their propellers turning.
And that was Joe Ring. Holy Trinity.
I don't know where this is. I like the black and white rendering with a little touch of cyan to it. It's not a cyanotype, but it kind of goes towards that feel a little bit. The elements placed in here are placed really nicely with all of these points and towers. It's a really nice shot. I think I might have weighted it a little bit more sky and a little less water, but that's just a preference matter and not really a design issue.
Right, John Schickler. Icelandic horses.
Head to head like this is nice, and blue sky background is beautifully done. It's got a nice feel to it, and my lady's a horse person, so I've been around horses a lot and I love them. And this is a good portrait of two that obviously like each other a lot.
And that's Harold Lana. In Remembrance.
This is one of the better portraits I've seen of this statue. I've shot it a lot of times myself, but I've never played with it to get something like this at all. And I wish I'd have thought of it. It's nicely done.
Billy Sinclair. Indoor Spring.
I like the placement of the sharp flower in this image, just to the left of center. You've got elements in here that tend to draw the eye on around and back to this sharp one too. Overall, I think it's basically a good design. I'm not sure about this one here over here on the right. I'd like to head that in just a little bit more because my eye tends to want to go out because it's so close to the edge. Had it been brought in a little bit more, it might have been a stronger design, keeping me even more so in it, going towards this one sharp one.
That is Jay Denny. Kids will be kids.
Gorgeous shot. Beautiful. I mean, what can you say? The colors are all basically the same, and yet the elephant just stand out perfectly. I don't think you need quite as much foreground. I'd make this more of a panorama, cutting off a little bit more of this yellow down here because that tends to draw my eye away from the grays that I'm seeing in this. Excuse me there.
Ted Jerkuda. Landmark Facade.
Cropped awfully tight. I know you're trying to emphasize this one building, and I like what you've done with that in terms of that, but and you've got one person walking out of it. Pretty good placement of the subject, or maybe at the door would have been better, or either here on this corner had you been able to capture that. But I just feel like you're cropping out in order to present this. I'm not sure you could have done it any other way. I don't really know what else to say about this image. There's not a lot else you could do in order to get this building by itself.
And it was Dave Johnson. Libby Hill Park.
Okay. I've shot this very scene several times over the years, and with and without people. The problem with having people in here is that they need to be strong enough that you're interested in why they're there or who they are or whatever. Here I see a person standing and apparently somebody's sitting. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make me care about them. It doesn't make me want to know any more about them. It's just an element that was there that doesn't add anything to the image, in my view. I like the use of the circles down here. That can be done stronger, though. I'd go back and do it again. I've done it several times myself, and it makes a beautiful shot with and without a subject, but the or person, I should say, they need to be doing something other than what this pair of people are doing.
That was Gary Kornfeld. Looking through Van Gogh's reality.
Now, this one I like a lot. Use of 3 people in it is really nice. And the fact that the one in the very back center is looking out and up just works perfectly, and caught the people at the right positions to emphasize this little guy here in the center of it. And their footsteps are just right so that you know they're moving, and the capture is just the right timing. And the use of the elements, the squares and the rectangles here, to guide the eye all the way across this frame is beautifully done.
Is Marianne Barnhart. Looking up at Lookout.
I had to really step back and look at this one for a moment before I really knew how I felt about it. The composition and design of this, I think, is really strong. Use of this point down here at the bottom, and it's such a large black area that the eye I tend to go right to the center of the black at first, and then I start seeing the shape and moving around it, the white areas down below, and then I go back up this black and up here to the top to realize that this is a lighthouse. I love the way this has been framed, and they're playing with your mind a little bit, and it works really well. Nicely done shot.
It's Karen Davis. Lunch with Mom.
Mm-hmm. Hard not to like the shot overall. Nice capture. Everything is sharp where it needs to be, basically. And then the fact that this one, it seems to be looking at its next dinner, just is really intriguing. It's got this look on its face like, do you want to be next? Go ahead.
Ted Jerkuda. Many miles to go.
Nice capture of a line of bicycle or cyclist, I should say. Good use of the photographer's position, so it's low enough to make it work. Used 2/3 of the image area, and they cropped it to make it a little bit more panoramic. Nicely done.
And is
Oh,
Bill.
one quick thing. This arm over here on the right-hand side that's not quite out of the frame and not quite in the frame. I know the photographer had to be debating whether to take that out or not. And to me, it needs to come out. Even if it does crop a little bit into this rider's hand, having that on that edge like that, to me, just unfinishes the image. It needs to be out or in, one or the other.
That's Bill Whitworth. Mexican handstand.
Okay, this is a great image, but it needs to be cropped a little bit. I want to come in here to this black line and put this little guy kneeling over more towards the bottom right-hand corner. If you crop out this line, black line just behind this little kneeling boy, yeah, something like that. That to me makes this image. You've got so much space over here on the left, it gives room for the eye to go out of the frame. This keeps the eye in the frame. The eye automatically goes to this lower left-hand corner because of that color and the contrast between the black and the red. And then immediately up here to this boy, the line is just obvious, and then up to the palm tree. It's nicely captured. You caught it at the right moment, right time. You just need to crop it a little bit to finish the image.
That is Dan Moore. Mount Rushmore framed.
I don't think I've seen this shot before. The capture of the Mount Rushmore with the light on the faces. I've not seen that quite like this either. You were there at the right moment, right time for the lighting. And I like the way you framed it. That's about it. We'll leave it at that. Nicely done.
Ed Hageman. Mountain Oasis.
Nice low level shot. I like the fact that you're low towards closer to the water and looking kind of up to where the water's coming from. The log on the left-hand side kind of helps guide you in and lead you on up. The eye doesn't automatically come in at the top. It can very nicely if the viewer wants to. It works that way as well. But my eye automatically goes to this strong element in the bottom left-hand corner and goes up and then catches the water and goes on around looking for the source of the water.
It is Laura Davenport. Nice niece.
Beautiful portrait. The smiles are genuine, and you can tell they're related very strongly. I would just crop it on the right-hand side, come into just the outer edge of this curl on the little girl on the right-hand side. Leave that curl in, but yeah, make sure you get that curl all the way in. Half circle there. You don't need all that room on the right-hand side, and maybe even tighten it up a touch at the top too. Yeah.
All right, that is Shashi Air. Nuthatch.
Okay. I've got a yin and yang thing here. Nuthatch on the left-hand side is beautifully captured. Looks close, either a long lens or just happen to be at the right place at the right time. I don't know. Don't care. The right-hand side is the issue. Why did you leave this strong, bright right-hand side to draw my eye away from your subject, along with all this out of focus area to the right-hand side that doesn't add anything to it? You know, when you got elements that take away from an image, if you get rid of them, get rid of them. It makes it so much stronger. Maybe even pull in a little bit tighter on the left-hand side as well. Beautiful shot of this bird.
And that is Morgan Stanley. On a break.
I like the fact you put the subject almost all the way to the left just a tiny space to the left of the subject. And you've left a lot of space on the right, empty space. Not sure what you're saying, but I like the fact that you left it there. My tendency might have been, and a lot of people's would have been, to crop it real tight to the person, which kind of takes away some possible meaning or whatever. It's kind of a nice, relaxed, open space that the subject is in, and I like that. It feels that with all this space around him. Nice and relaxing.
Heidi Nunley. Out of Eden.
I want to see more. You cropped it a little tight on the top, which suggests to me there was something that needed to come out. but then it also makes me focus on this face, which is gorgeous, and the closed eyes, and the colors tend to frame it and keep me into that face. So maybe it doesn't need more at the top. Maybe it needs to just be cropped a little tighter on the left and right hand side, just to, because that's not really necessary to the image. Beautiful.
Patricia Munford. Portrait of a cormorant.
Really nice headshot against the sky. How you captured that must have been a really long lens, because these are very finished. Well, unless they've been around people a lot, they tend to fly really quickly when people get too close to them. Beautiful capture, and I like the fact that it's diagonal across the frame and from right to left.
Kurt Engelman. Protected.
Okay. I like this shot a lot, but this is one of those where critiquing it is hard, because I don't know what your situation is. The subject on the left, on the edge of the frame, had it been more of it in there, it might have defined it was there a little bit better. Right now, I don't think you could decide whether to leave it in or take it out, or maybe you just weren't able to. Had you been able to move to the right and take it out a little bit and isolate the two in the background, I think that would have been stronger, because that little baby's face is wonderful to look at. As it is, the two on the left-hand side tend to draw me away, because they're so close to on the edge, and I can't tell whether the bigger ape is whether that's the face that you cropped out or whatever. It's the subject was the two in the background, and you didn't quite make it that.
That is Rebecca Perry. Railway station.
Karen, can you go back a second?
Uh-huh.
Another thought about this. Had you have left the two on the left-hand side in the frame, even though they were out of focus, the out of focus area would have drawn your eye, and then let your eye go back to the focused area, which would have emphasized the pair in the background even more. But by cropping it out, you missed that opportunity. And I think it would have been stronger had you have left more of the ape pair in the left-hand side over here in the frame. So next time, think about that. That can be a useful draw in to lead a viewer to the subject matter.
And that was Rebecca Perry. Railway station.
Good use of line and color and complementary colors. I'm not quite sure what you're saying. I like the strong light in the bottom, almost center, and then that strong pole, that leads you right on up from that light. For an architectural image, I like this a lot, but I'm not good with just straight lines on everything. I like the curved lines for some reason, but I guess you couldn't have done much better than this, though. It's overall pretty well designed shot. It's just that it doesn't do a lot for me.
That is Billy Sinclair. Red eye.
I assume that the Ferris wheel is your subject, and the only reason I assume that is because it's the biggest element in the picture, not because you emphasized it. If you had like nothing more than a point and shoot camera, I'm sure that's probably the best you could do with it. But the subject seems to be the entire city or whatever. It's England that has that big Ferris wheel, isn't it? Well exposed. I would have cropped a little bit of the bottom off. and made it more about the city, the water. You don't need all of that down there. And it kind of draws me away from what I really want to see, which is this line of the city line along here and that big Ferris wheel.
That was Kurt Engelman. Remains.
Excuse me just a second here, Karen. I'm trying not to lose my voice here. I'm not sure what to think about this. The black and white is not as well processed as I would like to see it, not enough contrast to it. The whites back there kind of draw my eye away from the chimney, which I'm assuming is your subject. I think I would have been better on that and use the darker trees up here at the top more to help surround it and define it. The white trees just tend to draw my eye away from it, and I don't think the contrast is as strong as it needs to be.
That was Jeff Stevens. Richmond World.
I don't have a lot to say about images like this. To me, it's a gimmick, and some people like them, some people don't. I'm just not that fond of them, but this is as well done as I've seen them done. So maybe a little better contrast to it. It's a little bit flat, the bottom half of the image.
This was Joe Ring. Rocky Road.
Nice travel shot. Looks like not quite midday light, but close to it. The clouds are nice behind it. The road in the foreground kind of leads you in and around the shapes of down to the bottom left, so that you go between those two mountains. I want to go between them. The strong element on the right-hand side is nice, but it's got so much weight that it's competing with the elements on the left-hand side, and these lines leading you around. It could have been stronger. And I think you needed to work at getting a better composition on this one.
Okay. And it was Karen Davis. Rooted.
Okay, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to see on this one. I see a lot of roots, and I'm assuming this is a glass vase. And I'm not sure how they lit it, but it's all I can say is it's roots, but don't know what else to say about it.
This is Dan Moore.
Plovers.
Sandy. I'm sorry.
Are these plovers?
I believe so. I'm going to take a whack at this. Sandy Scolopasidae.
Okay. You've got three birds in nice position. Foreground one is nicely sharp, then going slowly out of focus towards the ones that are farther away. Nice positioning. I think I would have cropped some of this bottom off. It's out of focus and doesn't really add to the image. Put the bottom, the one that's laying eggs or sitting on laid eggs. Bring it right close to the focused area. All this out of focus in the foreground doesn't add to it. It can be out of focus in the background beyond them, and that's fine. But in the foreground, it tends to draw the eye down in the frame some, and a little tighter on the sides would help.
Morgan Stanley. Serenity Now.
Nice. That's what this image is, nicely named. I've seen this tree photographed before, and I like the fact that you did not center it and the fact that you gave it a long exposure. So these black lines here are nice and soft and add to the drawing power of this shadow in the water, drawing me right on up. Nicely done.
It's Heidi Nunley. Shades of Gray.
Yes, it is. It's borderline too dark, but it kind of adds a mystery to it. The one thing you didn't do, you should have done, and that is take out this little light area up here. It's minuscule, but it's just enough for my eye to get caught by it and drawn out of the image. Take that out, then this dark area tends to keep you in and going around these white areas. I like the flow of this lighter to darker. And then you come down on the water and you're drawn over here to this light. So I tend to go around in a circle in this, looking at it. Get rid of that upper left-hand corner. Don't leave elements like that in your image, especially when it's small like that. It tends to catch the eye and draw it away from your main subject sometimes.
That was Leo Vanberg. Shadows.
This one I had a hard time with. I like the image, but I don't know why. Triangles are nice in design. They work well in design sometimes, but this one's almost not quite strong enough. But then this one is stronger and it's not quite light enough. But then you'd burn this corner out up here. So I'm not sure, that you caught this at the optimal timing to get this shot.
Linda Fern Schmiel. Shanghai at the Dark.
Interesting color to it. I'm not sure why you chose that, but I kind of like it. It's different. And that plus the blue in the buildings over here on the left and the right make a nice contrast. This building over here on the far left doesn't need to be in there. I'd like to have this building with the not triangular shape, but almost triangular shape on top of it to be closer to the edge. Use maybe just inside this light building here and get rid of that. It just doesn't add to it.
That was Leo Vanberg. Shenandoah Valley.
Too gray. I like black and whites of the Shenandoah, but this appears to be midday light. And you got it too flat. I need a little pop to it because all this gray, one tone like this, the eye has nothing to really focus on and stay on. It just wanders around because all the values are too close to each other. Hello.
Sorry, that was Kemp Davis. Sign from the Heavens.
Now, I don't know if you put that rainbow in, but I see a double rainbow, just a slight one off to the right hand of the main one. And you positioned it pretty good. It's just all this mess in the background. It appears to be a house and then whatever, I don't recognize what the rest of it is, but it's very distracting to me. You got this beautiful subject here with the man and the woman and this gorgeous rainbow. And you've got something in the background that keeps drawing me away from that main subject. It needs to be gotten rid of.
As Michael Orr. Silhouette.
I like what you're trying to do with this. It's Nice use of the shape of the limb, but the stick going up over top of the bird interferes with the shape of the bird, so it doesn't get finished. This bird on the right-hand side, I assume is pecking at this bird or eating insects off the bird, which I know birds do that. And then your combination with the art piece, I really like the idea of this. I just think the birds and branch element isn't quite right to make it work. There's this weakness of the intersecting piece with the tail of the bird that bothers me. And I'm not sure what this bird is doing, but you're almost there. You've got a good idea, but just not quite.
That is Anita Storino. Sky Ballet.
This reminds me of Chuck. I know some of y'all know Mike Ostrander, the boat captain, who takes you out on the river and introduces you to his birds. And one of his great blue herons years ago was named Chuck. And this was a position very similar to what I photographed Chuck in once or twice. I always had a little bit of an awkwardness to him. And this kind of reminds me of that. Beautiful capture, nicely done. To get that bird in that position is very unusual. I hadn't seen it since Chuck.
That's Harold Lana. Someone in a tree.
This is called bonsai, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. I love this Japanese art form. I'm not patient enough to do this. And I like this capture with very similar tones and a little bit of highlighting. And then you've got this light over here on the left. I'm not sure what to make of. But then you've got a couple of other spots of it that come in that help make it a little bit okay. If it had been just by itself, I would have felt it didn't belong there. And it's still almost too bright to really work strongly because it competes with the tree. That's what I'm getting at. It kind of competes with the tree itself. So you might tone that down just a little bit, not quite as much as the light spot up here in the towards the center, but that is a little bit too bright. I love the way you've done this tree from a low angle.
That is Patricia Munford. Splish Splash. I was taking a bath.
Great capture. Don't know what else to say about that. It's a great capture and nicely done.
Carol Annis. The Breakfast Club.
Another great capture. 3 horses with the heads in 3 different positions, and the contrasting white against the 2 darks, and the bigger, medium size, and one that's a little bit bigger than that. So you've got all the elements here that work so nicely. Nicely done. And the fact that you got color and black and white in it, I like what you've done with that.
Anita Storino.
Okay.
The drummer.
This one I spent some time with because I really liked what the photographer was trying to do here. The lighting on that drummer is gorgeous and nicely done. And most of the elements of this work really nicely. You've got one line over here that kind of a little bit bothers me, but not too awful much. But the major thing is this piece right above the drummer's head. It draws me in up here and comes down, but then takes me immediately back out after I've seen his face. It's one of those yin yang type things. I'm tempted to want to darken that area some so it's not as strong and doesn't keep drawing me away from the drummer's face.
All right, that's Jerry Posano. The sun lights my path.
Nice capture of the sun, the steps, the rock formation. I'm torn between thinking this is properly processed or just not enough contrast. I can't make up my mind on it because I almost like the soft feel of it. But then there's part of me that wants to see a contrast to it too. So I'm not sure which way to go on this one because I like the shot overall.
That's Laura Davenport. Together.
Is this that memorial that's out in the western part of the state? Does any, do you know, Karen?
Yeah, I think it is.
Because I've not
So
seen.
it's a D-Day memorial.
I'm sorry,
Ling,
say that again.
which memorial?
D-Day memorial.
The D-Day memorial. Okay. All right. I haven't seen this before. This appears to be close to a midday capture. I like your point of view on this, down low, using this beautiful curve here around it. You've got too low a contrast on the left-hand side, and kind of overall, this needs more contrast. But I like what you've done with your point of view and the angle that you took with it, and use of these circles here, these curves, beautifully done with that. I just think it needed to be at a different time of day.
And that is Ling Whitworth. Tossed salad.
It looks like tossed salad, and it looks like an advertising shot, and it looks pretty well done. I don't know what else to say about it. I like the motion in it, or the feel of motion in it, without anything being blurred. Capturing that wasn't easy.
That's Paul Bickford. Transformation creation.
I like the idea of this and the fact that they use a little color in it in places in a black and white. It makes it an interesting art piece. I don't know this corner, but I want to go there. It's got kind of a hardness to it, but yet an artsy look to it as well. I like this image.
Marianne Barnhart. Untitled.
This one I have mixed emotions about too. I don't know this place. I've seen one other picture of it, I think, but it feels too flat to me. Not any contrast to it. All the tonal values are too close together. There's no good black in it, no good white in it, except up the top right-hand corner. It's almost there. I think you just need to add some contrast to it, and this will be a nice image.
Right, and that is Ken Stevens. Waiting for spring.
Beautiful. Caught that nicely. I don't know what else to say about this. I think I would have left a little bit more room on the right-hand side of this nuthatch, but that's just a small little nitpicky thing. Maybe it's better off being square like this, because maybe it does belong that way. Nicely done.
And that is Ann Fulcher. Wet feathers and pine.
Again, another nicely done image, beautifully done, actually. The multicolored background being so blurred, and nice contrast and complementary to the subject matter. The limb going off to the left with the leaves going up to the top of the frame. Like a lot about this image. Beautifully done.
Carol Annis. Where she would sit.
Okay. I think your point of view on this might have been not quite, I don't know. I'm not sure just what to say about this. I love the red chair, and I love the fact that you didn't take the leaves off. But then I've got this reflection in this doorway behind me that keeps drawing my eye up there. And I really want to stay with this red chair. And it's just strong enough to make it a competition between the two. So I think a different approach might have worked better for you.
Carolyn Pitts. White ducks.
Okay. I know it would have been hard to get both of these ducks in sharp focus, and I don't think it's absolutely necessary that they be. And you've whited out these corners, which I'm going to assume you intentionally did, going for the soft whiteness to complement the soft whiteness of the ducks. You've almost got them a touch hot, but I think with the feeling you were going for, they have to be this bright and almost a little bit too white. Not quite, but almost there. Positioning of the ducks seems to be good. And it's not a bad position in the frame either. I think you've come really close to capturing what you want. There's part of me that wants a little bit sharper duck on the second one, but then I can't make up my mind whether that's necessary or not. If you like this image, I'd stick with it just as it is.
And that's Jerry Posano. Winner's Circle.
Very cute, nicely done. Studio lit lighting, a little bit flat. I would have made a little bit stronger contrast on it, but overall, really nice shot of the kid. I'm sure he loves it too.
Rebecca Perry. Winter Gathering.
This almost has an Oriental feel to it to me. I like what you've done with it with the faux color and use of line going all the way around this. It's almost too busy, but then I like that busyness in this one with all the birds I'm having to find in it. It's different, and it's got the faux color. Yeah, I've seen stuff done like this before and done well, and I think you've done a pretty good job with this.
That is Carol Hageman. Winter in Yellowstone.
This one little tree right over here makes this image. Got this big wide expanse, and then I've got this one little tree here, and it's kind of a back and forth, and it's nice lead in to bring me into it, and then I go down this hill and over here to this mountain in the rear. This line up along this side of the image has a nice curve to it. It also brings me down and in. Good use of the elements to make this a good image.
Susan Van Manen. Winter Leaves.
Busy, busy, busy. You left too much in, and maybe even taking the wrong perspective. I don't know, but your subject matter or your subject was a good idea, but not executed quite well enough. It's so busy that my eye just doesn't know where to go. The strong elements of the leaves kind of makes it, but then all those lines leading away from those leaves, it kind of destroys the feel of it.
Gary Kornfeld. Yellow Spring.
Nice point of view, down low looking up. And this is the time of the daffodils too. They're blooming really nicely outside my window. I like what you've done here, and making the one on the left a strong and sharp image, and then going out of focus on the right hand upper corner. Your use of framing is interesting and different. I'd say overall nicely done.
Paul Bickford. And our last image of the evening, Yin and Yang Seagull.
this one I want to crop a little bit off the bottom. Giving less weight to this, it's so bright down at the bottom, it almost draws me away from the bird, and the top could have been a little bit blacker too, but I kind of like it somewhat like it is. I've got mixed feelings about this image. You're real close to being a really great image. I'm not sure that maybe more contrast. I'd try it and see what it feels like, and definitely take some off the bottom. That weight of the white down at the bottom is a little bit too strong.
All right, and that concludes our 85 images for the evening.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Thank you, David. That was just awesome. We appreciate all your time and your thoughtfulness in evaluating those images. All right, any final words, and then we'll maybe see if there's some questions and answers.
Yeah, if people have questions, I don't mind. I'm losing my voice. I'll do the best I can, but I really enjoyed your images, folks. This group has really got a lot going for it, and I think you're learning from each other, and I learn something from each of y'all whenever I do one of these too. It's all about everybody being a better photographer than they really are, than they already are, and I think every one of you has a lot to look forward to, because I see a lot of good work here.
Good commentary. Thank you.
Thank you so much.